Do you love damage over time effects? Are you obsessed with blood? Do you like using off-meta weapons and hipster loadouts? If you said yes to any of the following, I have the guide for you. How yinz doing? I'm an Ian, and this is my TF2 How to Killstreak series, where we look at the best and worst TF2 has to offer, and I show you how to get a killstreak with it, because everything is a bad idea until it works. Today, we'll be covering the Flying Guillotine, so without wasting any more time, let's get into it. The Flying Guillotine was added to the game back in 2012 in the Triad pack, alongside my favorite King of the Hill map and a few other items that we will not be covering today. If you want this weapon for yourself, it can be crafted by combining 3 Mad Milks and a reclaimed metal. However, like always, I recommend either trading or waiting for a random drop if you wish to acquire this weapon for yourself. As for what this weapon does, it's a cleaver you throw at your opponents, dealing 50 damage on impact as well as an additional 8 seconds of damage over time from bleeding. This means you'll be doing a maximum of 90 damage on an opponent with this weapon unless they find a way to stop the bleeding or you find some way to boost the damage with the cleaver through, say, critical hits. This means unless the opponent you're attacking is a kunai spy, there's exactly 0 chance you're going to be killing anyone at full health with this weapon alone. The reasons for this are twofold. 1, the Flying Guillotine is incapable of getting random crits whatsoever, and 2, it competes for an equip slot with the Criticola, meaning you can't combo it by yourself in order to kill people. This means unless you're getting a damage boost from your teammates from, say, a Killstreak medic or a buff banner soldier, you'll have to whittle down your opponents before you can kill them with this weapon. Meaning the majority of the time, it's best to use the cleaver as a combo piece to use alongside your other weapons in order to wear down opponents so you can finish them off with your primary or melee weapon of choice. Speaking of using the Flying Guillotine as a combo piece with your other weapons, this weapon used to be quite an infamous combo piece with the Sandman. This is because once upon a time, instead of giving a useless slow debuff that fully revved heavies wouldn't even notice, the Sandman would actually stun opponents in their tracks if you hit them from far away enough, and the cleaver would get you guaranteed crits against stunned opponents. However, it was decided by both the devs and the TF2 community that stun mechanics were cringe, and these weapons were nerfed into the ground. The Sandman had the worst of it, and if you're interested in hearing the full story, I've already covered that weapon in detail alongside the Rap Assassin, so click the annotation on screen now if you want to see that in greater detail. Also consider liking this video, helps out a lot in the algorithm. Also with self-confidence, since my videos are less me thinking anything I do is good, and more me realizing that there will always be something wrong with what I'm doing, and praying to God no one notices the issues I have with my videos, only for the comments section to light up about random stuff that I had never even noticed in production, like how I got the damage numbers wrong on a specific weapon, or how those kills I put in the background of my videos were less impressive than I thought they were. As for the Flying Guillotine, it lost its ability to get guaranteed crits on stunned players and will now recharge faster if you hit opponents from a sufficiently far distance, approximately the same distance you need to land a moonshot with the Sandman. Because of these changes, only 4 kinds of players use this weapon now whatsoever. New players who just got it from a random drop and are testing out the new shiny weapon they got, veteran scout mains going on a nostalgia trip from when the Sandman Guillotine combo was the thing and still want to use the strange guillotine they have, players who wish to use the Babyface's Blaster or Soda Popper to help recharge their meters faster with damage over time effects, often in conjunction with the Rap Assassin, and medieval mode players looking for a form of ranged damage since this is one of the few ranged weapons available in that game mode alongside the Huntsman and Crusader's crossbow. Interestingly, the initial 50 damage you do with this weapon before the bleed sets in is considered untyped, meaning the medic's vaccinator won't protect anyone from it. So if you can get a Killstreak medic to pocket you whatsoever, this weapon can be an easy 150 damage against opponents who are relying on damage resistances to destroy you. However, getting a Killstreak medic to help you out is a touch unreliable at the best of times, so instead I recommend just going to the group keep and using this weapon to whittle down opponents' health so you can more easily kill them with your melee of choice. After all, this is the only damage-dealing secondary Scout has in his arsenal if you play medieval mode, making this arguably Scout's best secondary weapon to use whilst on the group keep. If you decide to do this, I recommend using the Candy Cane since it gives you more health packs to pick up when you do get a kill, making keeping your health topped off much easier. And if you're worried about the explosive vulnerability the Candy Cane gives you, remember, the only kind of explosive damage that's available to players under group keep is the Caber, aka the worst melee weapon the Demo Man has for this game mode. However, if you're confident that every swing you dish out will hit something, consider using the Boston Basher since it has the best DPS of any scout melee. However, in all honesty, I recommend anything except the Rap Assassin and Fan of War due to their damage reduction downsides, making them ill-advised weapons to use whilst on the Groove Keep. However, outside of the Groove Keep, the best practical use of this weapon is as a tool to help charge up the meters for your babyface's plaster or soda popper. The second best way to use this weapon is as a way to counter spies, since the bleed that this weapon inflicts can make it very easy to check for spies and track them down when they try to cloak away. Personally, I think the Mad Milk is better in this regard for tracking down and dealing with spies. However, if you want a damage-dealing secondary but also want a tool for tracking down spies, this can be a happy compromise. Please bear in mind that when you're using this weapon, you only have one cleaver to throw, you don't get multiple in reserve. Once this weapon is chucked at your opponents, regardless if you hit anyone, you have to wait for it to recharge. So make sure to take aim and practice against some bots on a community server before you start trying to go pub stomping for a frag video. Trust me on this one, people, a few minutes practicing against bots on a community server can save you hours editing out your whiffed shots and embarrassing deaths later in video production. All in all, I give the Flying Guillotine a hipster seasoning out of 10. If you like playing off-meta loadouts, this can be a useful tool to add to your arsenal. However, if you're looking for a more reliable weapon to get you kill streaks more consistently, the pistol simply outclass this thing utterly. However, that'll be all for now. Like the video if you did, subscribe if you don't want to miss the next one, comment what weapons you want to see me cover in the future. I've been an Ian, you have been you, and this has been my TF2 How to Kill Streak Guide to the Flying Guillotine. And stay tuned, the Warrior Spirit is coming up next.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.